It's fun stuff.
Okay. I don't know what's going on with our Skype here.
It's always
Technology always likes to fail us in these moments.
Especially Skype. Like,
it really is. You know, we kind of have the finer points, figured out, I think. And that's nice. What was your most memorable moment from the storm season, Stephen?
Sorry, most memorable?
Yeah.
I'd have to say that really big roll cloud, or when we were in Regina, I think it was the same time, and we were, I think, off Albert, and we had just turned off Albert, and we were trying to turn around on one of those, like, on one of the busy streets that, it's like a wide street, and we had to sit there for like at least 5 minutes and just sit and wait for cars. You remember that? It was by...
You mean the night that we went out for lightning?
Yeah, it was in the evening. It was still in the evening.
North of Belgoni?
No, it was in the city. It was in the city.
In the city?
Or no,
I don't think we turned around anywhere in the city.
Because we went in, and then...
Yeah, we went in, and then I realized...
we left.
That it was a navigational error, sort of, right off the bat. You know, I realized we either need to go... We wanted to go west and then south, and ended up just kind of going west and turning into Regina, and then we sat there for a bit and killed time, and eventually got ourselves turned back around. Let's try one more call here. All right, we got 2 of 3.
Meyer?
There we go. Hello, Ryan, Natani, and I think we have Craig as well.
Right on.
Good to talk to you guys.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us tonight, guys. Second last year date of 2014, and so I thought it would be kind of cool to get a few storm chasers together and kind of reflect on the season that was. And so, for anybody watching, if you want to put questions to anybody on the call tonight, you can do so on the live chat below the YouTube live stream player. And there is also a Skype click to call button below the player there as well if you want to submit a question that way. First of all, guys, anybody who wants to tackle this question, favorite moment of 2014? I know it had its highs and lows, but I know you all chased to some degree this year. What was your favorite?
Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Noni.
That was the hard part.
So I got to say, I think my favorite one was my favorite chase was in Montana this year. There were pretty special moments in Texas, however, but Montana was the most scenic and beautiful thunderstorm we chased. Ryan and I chased that one in the last part of May. Just absolutely gorgeous storm. Came out of the foothills and came rushing north towards Havre and produced what appeared to be a tornado to the north of our position eventually. And man, that was the most picturesque thunderstorm we've seen for the last couple of weeks. It was happening around, the magic time, sunset. So we got some really good footage and pictures out of that one. I think that's my favorite weather event of this chase season outside of Saskatchewan. Otherwise, there's in Saskatchewan, there is the event, the wind event, of course, that hit White City and Edenwold and stuff like that did straight line wind damage. That was pretty significant.
Absolutely.
Ryan,
I was. Pardon me?
I've been going through your Twitter feed here, Ryan. I was looking at some of your highlights of the year. The earliest that I see is sort of early in July, and the flooding going on around Crooked Lake and those areas.
That flooding was nuts. CJ Me contacted me, and I was actually driving around getting pictures for them for the website because they couldn't make it down here themselves to do it. And then on top of that, I ended up helping the Weather Network for a day or two. We went to Sean Schofer, his cabin at Crooked Lake. We used a canoe to get into his kitchen, which was pretty crazy. Yeah.
Once in a lifetime.
Yeah. But I would have to say my favorite chase, Natani already said my absolute favorite, which was also Montana. But for me, it was really interesting being in Texas because it was the first time I've been in the States with a tornado siren going off. And when we stopped on the side of the road, I think it was south we were looking, with this massive system off in front of us. We've got like 100 chasers on your left and 100 chasers on your right. And there's like NBC had a truck there, and, we ran it to Jack the Window and Mark Robinson for the Weather Network. And just being around that and experiencing all that was pretty wild, to say the least.
Plus, we're at El Dorado. Do you remember that?
Yeah. We had to stop, take a picture of the sign.
That was awesome, man. So, yeah, this year, I'm sorry, I wanted to visit Crooked Lake and Round Lake as well. But I wasn't quite confident enough with my quadcopter to take some aerial pictures. But I've increased my piloting skills quite a bit now, so I'm almost to the point of cockiness. Next time next spring for sure. And I'm thinking we all know that the water table here in Saskatchewan is fairly high right now. So we're going to guarantee sea flooding again this coming spring. So I'm going to be out taking some aerial shots. If you guys need me down there, please give me a dingle, man, because I'll be out there in a heartbeat to get the world knowing what's going on and what kind of help you guys need. Like you just nothing tells it like an aerial view, right?
No, it really doesn't.
Absolutely.
You always see everybody with helicopters doing the pictures from above, but why not just do it for a little bit cheaper and just throw a helicopter up there, or a quadcopter? They work just as well, and you don't need to hire a pilot for that. But as we know, we all got to do our due diligence with Transport Canada, and so yeah, I'm working on that right now to make sure that I'm well covered for next year. I don't want to, surprise little fine, from Transport Canada. So
just like last
so
week.
Yeah, I gotta make. Yeah, I heard about that. That Quebec guy. Well, legislations and laws in Quebec can apply differently than it does. But I mean, maybe it's a federal law thing, so it goes Canada wide. But still, I mean, if the guy had a commercial license and had applied with Transport Canada properly, he probably wouldn't have gotten that fine. But Sun,
True.
I believe, was the newspaper who put out that article, didn't really put too much detail in there, so I couldn't actually defend this guy or not, so I just kind of stayed out of it. But it's definitely something to be cognizant in the future, though, for those planning on possibly getting some aerial photography, because you don't want a surprise little $1,000 or even $5,000 little fine waiting for you in the mail,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm looking forward to 2015, though. It should be an El Nino, sorry. So I'm thinking it's going to be a really good year this year.
Craig, how about you? What was your highlight of 2014, rather?
Probably the start of my season, actually. I think it was a May 26th storm. Actually, it ended up being four different cells that day. The first cell had a great wall cloud on it rotating. I was out there. Sean Schofer bumped into him. The wall cloud became quickly rain wrapped, though, and we're not 100% sure if it did drop a tornado or not. But basically, I chased storms southeast for 3 hours and basically just jumped from storm to storm. Super photogenic cells for the whole day. Avoided the rain, avoided the hail. Was a great day. And then on the way home, a little cell popped up in front of me, probably quarter-mile wide, and ended up driving through 10 minutes of hail. So kind of avoided it all day, and got lots of great shots. And on the way home, ended up driving smack into the last little one. And but it was a great day out there. Yeah.
Nice.
One other thing I wanted to bring up is, I don't know if you guys read this at all every year or not, but Environment Canada publishes their top 10 weather stories every year, and their top one of the year was the long, cold winter in Canada. I was wondering if there was any full unanimous agreement about that, or if there's something that comes to mind throughout Canada that you think deserved higher honors than that.
This is Saskatchewan. Every winter's a long, cold winter.
In my opinion, it was. In my opinion, Canada-wide, really, it was. I mean, at least the three provinces, prairie provinces, were in the deep freeze. It's been the coldest winter in 30 years. I mean, that is a top story.
Yeah.
We went through a lot of energy. We should see what Sask Energy has to say, how much natural gas they went through in order to heat this province and keep us safe and warm. I mean, that was a significant weather story, I believe.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, if you just look at the freezing over of the Great Lakes and how long it took them to thaw out, I mean, it's kind of unheard of for the lakes to freeze over that long and that much. So, I mean, clearly a very, very cold winter. Hopefully, we had a great start to December, and hopefully we don't see a repeat this year. But I have a feeling January and February are going to be very, very cold.
Well, we seem to be on that roller coaster again. We had a couple of really mild weeks, and then this week has started out really frigid, and so it does definitely make you wonder about January and February for sure. Now, one of the ones that kind of caught my attention was the Angus tornado. They put it on the list, but they put it at number 9, and to me that seemed like a bigger story than they seem to make it out to be.
Well, I don't know. Maybe because of its mesoscale effect. A tornado is a mesoscale effect when you think about it. When you got other weather stories like flooding and massive cold, things like that. They affect way more people and on a more macro scale. And I think maybe that's how the Weather Network may have. Or Environment Canada may have classified their top events as by what kind of scale these events were.
Yeah, that's a good point. You mentioned flooding, and that was actually number 2 on their list was throughout the eastern prairies, the summer flooding. Number 3 was wildfires in the west and northwest, and that seems to be something that's almost really annual now, and we really feel the effects of it at times in Saskatchewan as well, just by the diminishing air quality. Number 4 was the winter storm that coated parts of eastern Canada the weekend before Christmas 2013. I'm looking at some of these. I
don't remember much of that.
No. And that's the thing, too. A lot of it is eastern Canada.
Is that a standard lake effect snow that sometimes occasionally happens, or is that,
Yeah.
How outstanding is that event, really?
A vigorous winter storm is what is the wording on it. But I think the big story behind that is just that it happened before Christmas last year. And I think that's always
when people are traveling and it affects more people, eh?
Exactly. Now, one particular day, moving back into Saskatchewan, of course, we can't go without talking about is July 5th, and I'm looking at the incredible wedding photo that resulted from that day, that I'm sure we've all seen and heard about. Where were you guys all throughout that day?
I'm trying to remember.
What? Myself, I was at work. You were at work. I got off work, I think it was about 1 o'clock or so, and I knew, because there's 5 tornadoes that touched down that day, and I knew I wasn't going to get to time to get to any of them, and the next best cell I seen was around Ituna, and I made it there. It was absolutely gorgeous system. Katie and I hit there, and we watched the whole thing form, beautiful little storm, and then we sat through the 10, 15 minutes worth of hail that followed, which was a nice test on the new truck, the Storm Finder.
Okay, I totally remember what happened. I wasn't at work. There was a Rider game that day. Here's the event for me that day. I was supposed to go out to Round Lake and try to get some aerial photography for Sean Shover. So I went east of Saskatchewan. I went down to around Indian Head, did some piloting checks, and then I was running out of time because I had promised my friend from work that I was going to go over to her place for a barbecue. And yeah, I'm over there and I'm like looking at radar and I'm shooting myself in the foot going, oh, I wish I could be out there because I saw all the tornado warnings and such. And so, yeah, now I remember that day was very significant. I was like, oh, I wish I was there because all I had to do is, just call off the barbecue deal and just go straight on up to Outlook and I would have been rigged there. Some of the pictures that I saw from, I think it was Beth and Craig. They were awesome, man, and I know. I was so jealous. And I'm glad somebody was there to actually witness and report these in, because that's what we're for. Yeah, kudos to you guys, man.
The irony of that was that the main documenting of it came from people who came all the way from Alberta, and they basically picked up all these tornadoes in our backyard.
I saw one everywhere.
We don't speak of that day in our household. I had actually a family birthday to go to that day, and my wife worked till 4, and so I was watching on Twitter and watching some of the radar stuff, and just watching the pictures of tornadoes come in. I was just dying to get out there, but I knew the wife would not be a happy camper if I just left. So about 3 o'clock, there was a storm that popped up right around Regina Beach area, and you could just see the clouds go up. So I had a little bit of time, so I actually drove out there, and halfway to Lumsden, you could actually see a funnel from about 40 miles away just roping down, and then I realized the camera I took was my wide-angle camera, not a zoom, so no pictures of that event. Watched it for a bit. You could see the rotation coming across the lake. At that point, I had to head back to the city, pick up the wife, explain to her that the birthday party needed to be put on hold, and we were going to be very late for it. So we ended up grabbing the equipment. We shot north, ended up going to Southie and picking up the storm that actually had the tornadoes on it earlier in the day. The roads, though, up that way were horrendous, and you just kept running into creek after creek across the roads from the spring flooding. So I ended up getting a lot of pictures from it. But
brutal.
Yeah, but from the backside of the storm, and honestly, some of my best pictures of the year came from that storm, from the backside as opposed to being on the front side, the business end of it. So it ended up being a pretty good day, but still, we don't talk about it just because I ended up missing 6 tornadoes.
Yeah, that was my approach of it for the rest of that month, was that I don't want to think about that. But the pictures you could not ignore. They were phenomenal photos just from even bystanders.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I'm glad nobody got killed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, really. And,
yeah, there was the one video. I don't know if anyone's seen it, of the trucker that took the video, yes. And the tornado literally 100 yards to the side of him in the field, and he just had no idea what to do. It was pretty interesting to watch.
Was that by Craig or Hanley or something? I can't remember where.
I think it was just Hanley. Yeah, I believe it was out by Hanley, and it was funny to see the truck driver though. But I mean, even that semi he was in, and you could see it shaking with that tornado, 100 yards off to the right.
Yeah, that could have rolled him. That was a good one, though. Good footage.
All right, so yeah, that was probably the biggest day for storms in Saskatchewan. But come August 8th, come August period, there were a couple of surprise nighttime storms that showed up. Did any of you manage to get on any of those? Any lightning photography moments? Or
I chased one on the 5th. I think we ended up in Ogema. Nothing really happened from it. It was a beautiful shelf cloud, and then it just kind of died. And I think on the 4th we were down by Lake of the Prairies, and that also, much like just died. Beautiful setup, beautiful system, and just died. I think we got lightning shot once.
Well,
I'm not sure if I remember that one.
That August 8th storm, that was the one that rolled through White City and did all that straight line damage.
Yeah, it was.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I was just to the north of that, and believe it or not, was really not far from where the straight line winds occurred. I mean, we had winds where we were, but we were just far enough north that we didn't get that significant damage. And the real, evidence of it did not come until the next day. And you started seeing all the photos and reports, and then you go out, and then I went out there, and it was just amazing how widespread it was, White City and Balgony both, and it just sort of went on a northeasterly track. And it wasn't just wind. I mean, it was a deluge of rain that I ended up sitting through too, and then they had power outages through pretty much, I think, a good portion of the evening as well. Did the power go out in Regina at all during that storm? Because I'm pretty sure I remember sitting east of Regina, and we're live streaming. We're pointing the stream camera right at Regina, and there all of a sudden Regina's black, probably because of rain. But closer to us, there's a tower, and that just goes dark as well, moments after a lightning strike. Was there any power outages in Regina that night?
I didn't hear of any.
None in my area, that's for sure.
I did hear of the Edenwold area without power for a long time.
Yeah, and that was where the storm really seemed to pick up. But there was. Sorry, go ahead.
That night, I don't know if you guys know, but I am a radio DJ on Friday nights, and August 8th was one of them. So I was giving radar updates and wind velocity updates to everyone involved. So I knew there was a straight line wind event coming towards White City. So it was one of the things that I was doing on the radio was I was issuing out, I was letting them know what I saw on radar as 70 to 80 mile per hour winds heading your way, and stuff like that. I tried to let that out, And the next day, I went out to. I went to Alberta and shot that fish truck, lightning shot. But then a few days after that, I came back and I found out a friend of mine, his sister has a farm out by Edenwold, and they all of their bins got knocked over. One of their huge outbuildings got blown to pieces and scattered across the field. So they wanted me out there with their quadcopter, and I got some amazing aerial shots of the damage path of that of the straight line wind event. And they were curious if I could tell if it was a straight line event or tornadic because they were telling me that there was debris scattered in all sorts of directions. So from an aerial point of view, it was kind of nice to be able to finally put my thumb on there and say, okay, this is why certain things happen. Like there are rotational winds in some straight line wind events, so it scattered debris in some cases in a random way, but not in a tornadic damage type of way. So that was a very interesting event. And I also went to White City and got some aerial shots of the tree damage over there. That was incredible damage they received. But as for power outages, I only heard communities around northeast of Regina, but I didn't actually hear about Regina receiving any power outages.
Yeah, that was quite the storm. We actually, I ended up chasing that storm. We ended up heading down to Swift Current, and we ended up being on the north side of the storm, and we kind of chased it on the way back. And you could see it was really rotating on radar on the south side of the storm, but I was contemplating whether to try to punch the core or not, and I'm kind of glad I didn't because we ended up getting far enough in front of it and getting a lot of lightning shots out of it and stuff. But the lightning on that storm was phenomenal. I've never seen lightning like that on a storm before. Driving back to Regina, we stayed in front of the storm, and from Moose Shot or Regina, it literally was like bombs going off in the field. Within 200-300 yards, you could just see them coming down all over the place. It was really the first time when I've stopped to take lightning pictures that I've actually crawled through the back seat of my vehicle and not wanted to get outside of my vehicle because they literally were coming down everywhere. So the lightning on that storm was probably the best that I've ever seen.
Yeah, and that's what I was doing initially, was to the east of it, was just shooting lightning, and it was almost constant, and it was incredible as it approached Regina, just how amazing the lightning was. And then ended up riding out the core, basically in Pilot Butte there, and yeah, it was not a fun core to be in. Fortunately, no significant hail. We did see a few small hailstones, but can you can only imagine what if there had been hail combined with that straight line wind damage. What else would have happened there? But,
yeah, there was enough crop damage as it was from the straight line winds. I couldn't imagine the hail wouldn't have helped much either.
No.
There was some big hail on that storm, golf ball size hail when it was southwest of Moose Jaw.
Yeah.
I photographed that storm for about an hour and a half in the dark, and it just got to the point where I said, I wanted to just stay in front of it because I wasn't actually sure what was coming, and I didn't want to get caught up in it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, New Year's Eve tomorrow. Looking ahead to 2015, any plans or ambitions or predictions anybody would like to discuss?
Plans? Well, in about a day and a half, I'll be really drunk. But besides that, I know one plan Natanya and I have been talking about is going back to the States. So, now that means I'm going to be excited for the next 5.5 months.
Yeah, we're saving up, man. Saving up. Yeah, we're heading down there again. We're going to go down the last half of, the later part of May. I think it's about May 22nd-ish. And then we're going to come back to Canada on June 9th. We're back to work. So it's a good stint. And I have a feeling that it's going to be an active year. I really do. I think things are going to be quite active in April. May, we all know May down there, around the end of May is the peak of their season, but I don't think it will be the end of that season. So, yeah, there'll be a lot of people down there, and we'll be in the thick of things. We'll be safe. We'll be web streaming. It's going to be good. Looking forward to getting some wind measurements and stuff down there this time, providing some actual, some more, just more than just eyes on, spotter type purpose. I want to actually add some science to it if I can possibly increase my budget a little bit. So I'm working on that. I'm saving up. I'm trying to save. And then, up here in Canada, July is the time, man. July is the time for us to go out there and make a difference and get in front of these storms before they hit major centers. Doesn't actually matter if it's major centers or not. A lot of farmers, a lot of small communities out there don't know that they're coming. They don't have the warning systems. A lot of people don't know that, so they're relying on people like us to get the word out, report that into Environment Canada to fulfill our purpose. I'm looking forward to it. I'm very excited for another storm season. I don't know about you guys. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm hoping it's going to be a good season. Go ahead, Ryan.
No, you go ahead.
Oh yeah. Yeah, unfortunately I'm not going to be chasing in the U.S. I do plan on maybe trying 1 week down there, but I want to maybe hit that Nebraska, South Dakota area. That's kind of where I think would be some good chasing down in that South Dakota area. If not though, July and August, I'll be on the road putting some kilometers on again this year. 11,000 kilometers this summer, 25 storm chases, no tornadoes. So hopefully we can improve on some of those numbers on the upcoming year.
Yeah, and how many times this year was it all died out because of smoke?
Oh man, August I was like a rainmaker. There was great storms popping up, and when I arrived, they just turned into rain.
Yeah.
Yeah, that ties perfectly into that top 10 story of the wildfires, and that kind of plays into how our storm season ended up being choked off by smoke.
Yeah, from like the 5th to the 23rd, there was nothing in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, for a while there, I actually ended up becoming a sunset photographer there, and it wasn't very very pleasing.
You're like, oh, look at it, beam! Oh, that's a good beam.
Sun pillar. But, I mean, that's the way things are going. We got climate change happening. I don't know if you guys are noticing what's happening up north. The polar ice caps, it's melting, and that's the way it is. And what's happening with that is it's causing weather systems to cause blocks, Rex blocks and stuff like that. And what's happening is these weathers that normally transit from one end of the country to the other in about the span of 8 days, they're no longer transiting as quickly along the jet stream. Our jet stream is being disrupted, and these systems are lasting a lot longer than they should be. We're getting longer days of drought. We're getting longer days of rain, as we saw at the end of July or June there. So I think this is going to become more of what we can expect in the future, more prolonged weather events. I'm not sure what that's going to spell for severe weather, but it's something to keep cognizant about of, where the position of the jet stream is, where the blocking weather systems are, and that'll help you in the longer term of forecasting where you're going to go to do some storm spotting. That's my opinion. What are you guys thinking?
Yeah, I was just reading that Alaska's the first time in a calendar year they haven't got below 17 degrees Celsius, which is pretty phenomenal for Alaska. They haven't got below 0 Fahrenheit for a full calendar year, and that's never really happened before. So, they're not seeing the cold temperatures that we're seeing, but which obviously lends into that little bit of warming up there that you were speaking of.
Yeah, it's a fact. And our atmosphere is going up in temperature. I'm sure 1 or 2 degrees. Our sea surface temperature is increasing as well. With a swollen atmosphere, it makes more room for moisture particles to get swallowed up into that too. So I'm thinking, okay, well, we got all this room in our atmosphere for moisture. It's going to come out eventually. So I think we're going to see more flooding events and that type of thing. It's a sad thing to say.
No, we really don't need that. And do you think that with the snow, if we get more snow, which is inevitable really this year, that we could see something worse than last spring?
Let's hope not.
I don't think so. Not
I would think I would take a phenomenal amount of snow. I mean, at this time last year, had a lot of snow on the ground already. Really, we don't have a lot of snow. And, I mean, we're going to get a couple big dumps, but I don't think it'll be anything close to last year.
No. I would have to agree with you on that.
Same. Last year, wasn't it mostly cold? That I thought we had a fairly average amount of snow most of the time. I mean, there were some bands by the Yellowhead Highway that got pounded by a couple of weather events, but I mean, for the majority, most of the province was not so bad. But it was in 2012 where we got phenomenal amounts of snow everywhere, and we were still recuperating from the floods of 2011. At that time, I think our ground is still has a high water table, so we're still pretty vulnerable to flooding, even with average winters.
It doesn't take much right now, especially with the farms around here, from the winter of 2011, where it rains for half an hour and it's going to be flooded, just because of the table from 3+ years ago. Absolutely.
Exactly.
So I have a question here that someone sent on Twitter, Tammy Durkinson, and she said, "What is your favorite Storm Chase song?" So I would say mine is "Riders of the Storm" from Hammerfall, a Swedish metal band.
That's pretty good.
I would say no. Do you have a DVD or a song you prefer? Maybe throw a little Twister in.
Well, I do have Twister in my vehicle at all times on a microchip. So even if we strike out, we get a tornado eventually. I don't know. When storm chasing, seriously, like when I'm cruising down the road, sometimes it depends on who I'm with, man. I mean, if I'm storm chasing with my sister, Roshi, for example, we'll be listening to Ministry. Rio Grande Blood is a good song that we like to play really fast. It's awesome. It just depends on who I'm cruising with. If I'm by myself, sometimes I'll play soundtracks from movies. I'm more of a dramatic kind of guy in that manner. And sometimes I'm into the whole atmosphere that the music creates for me to get into storm chasing. And sometimes it's Halo. I mean, sometimes it's the Batman soundtrack. I mean, sometimes it's
Gladiator,
electronic. Sometimes it's speed metal. It depends on my mood on the day, man. It really does.
Yeah, I'm with you there on the movie soundtrack stuff. That's a lot of the time all I listen to. Not even when I'm storm chasing, but just sitting and doing work.
In the music that I play on the radio, a lot of it is soundtrack. It's because it takes about a minute and a half for the songs that I play to create an atmosphere. So it's because of my love of soundtrack that I like the industrial music that I play on the radio. Sorry, Ryan, you were going to say something. I interrupted.
I was going to say, I think the sweetest thing would be having O Fortuna, that classical song, play while Tornado lands in the background.
That would be sweet. Oh, so many songs, man. That's a good question. Any other questions out there?
Steven, you got anything on the chat there for me?
Nope, not yet.
Nice. So anybody doing any major modifications to their vehicles this year before storm season?
Ryan's been alluding to some things.
Yes. My mechanic / driver, Brandon Crane's going to be, he's been working on some designs. We're going to put protection on the roof and pull-outs that are going to cover all 4 windows. The back, we're going to put Lexan, and we're making up a hail guard for the front window. So we're kind of like the first step to armoring the storm finder.
For me, as a dream, I would like to actually put either reinforced type glass in the front windshield or an overhanging grid rail like everybody else has. Because really, I mean, once your windshield's gone, it's a showstopper right there. You're out of the game.
That's the biggest thing to try and protect is the windshield for sure.
And especially if you're in the United States and you're down there and you don't want to be out of the game for that long, especially if you've sacrificed and arranged all that planned time off to go down there and do that. So, I mean, either make those preparations or stay a little bit extra cautious about where you're chasing. Because I'm sorry to say, Tanya Langston and myself, we were chasing this thunderstorm from Colorado into Kansas, and it was throwing down some pretty mean hail in front of us. But we never actually hooked into the slice of that hook echo because we didn't have the protection we needed to get in there. And we could have really seen some phenomenal action had we had the ability to slice that hook properly. And we were we were ready to do it. We just couldn't get in there. That hail was insane. We could see hail shafts itself on our left-hand side falling down and twisting at the same time. It's like, oh, this is insane. But we played it cautious. We hung back. We kept pace with the storm. But preparations to protect your vehicle is a very good idea. That's all I got.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing I'd really like to add is probably a hail guard, but it might not be this year. I have invested in a couple extra cameras, so I'll have some angles from all angles of the vehicle, and hopefully get some good footage this year, not just pictures. That's one of the things I've kind of been lacking is I get out there and get a lot of pictures, but I don't capture a lot of video. So this year I'm going to try to grab some video as well along with those pictures.
This year, this year was an opposite for me. I found myself getting a lot of video and not a lot of photos, and so I need to try and balance it out a bit more next year.
Yeah, it's a little tough for me because I do 90% of my chasing by myself. So if you're doing everything by yourself, it makes it difficult to do the video, to do the photography and stuff. So, but I have a couple ones that I have mounted now, exterior mounts to the vehicle and stuff. So I'm hoping those will add a little bit to the game.
Cool.
Nice. I was going to mention something.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Oh, I was going to mention something towards hail is a good example. When Tanya and I were at Big Spring, Texas, and we ran into Jack Lewindow, Mark Robertson of the Weather Network, and I think we were telling them because they were having trouble receiving data, and Tanya mentioned to them was like, "Wow, this system's getting pretty nasty." I think 2-inch hail, 3-inch hailstones, and we had to get back to our vehicle. So we were like running at top speed because we stopped quite a ways away and left. And I think it was like within 5-10 minutes on Twitter, they were showing pictures of how absolutely destroyed their vehicle was because they didn't get out in time.
Yeah, that That was at Big Springs. We went south to Garden City, I think it was called, and then we were at a junction point of whether or not we would continue south or go east, east-southeast, because there was a line of tornadic thunderstorms with big hail in it, and it was kind of, I was playing it a little bit cautious. We did some storm running away instead of storm chasing in that case, so we caught up with it back in San Angelo. I guess what we could have done, we had enough time, I guess, to go southeast. We just didn't do it. You can't take that back. I mean, you make the decisions at the time. And
you live and learn, really.
Consequences.
It makes it a little bit difficult too, and you don't know the road system. You know, when you're chasing up in Saskatchewan, southern Saskatchewan, you know, you can make decisions that you wouldn't make that you're out in the States. And you know, some of those secondary roads and grids and stuff, they're not maintained the same level as they are here in Saskatchewan.
Well, I noticed Texas was like flooded out in half these places. I couldn't believe the amount of water that we seen there.
That was crazy. So are we going to, say, gather again in the spring like this and explain how far along we've gotten along in our vehicle modifications, or, you know, how pumped we are?
I think that'd be a good thing to do. We did that last year, and then we sort of did that mid-season thing there with Reed, and then this is sort of our year-end wrap. So, yeah, I think that'd be a good thing to do. Try and gather some more people. I know right after Christmas is kind of a tough time to nab people for something like this.
Podcast with the podcast with Reed, Joshua. I don't know if you remembered, but when you were introducing and he talked to Nick the Body, and then before he said anything to me, he said that perpendicular to the ground, and then we both kind of giggled for about 10 seconds, and everyone was like, what's going on? There's an inside joke there, but I'm not going to tell you guys. I just want to mention that was an inside joke. There's only about five people in the world that know it. Craig probably knows it.
Yeah. We have a question from Tammy Dirksen. I'll just avoid that. We have a question from Tammy Dirksen, and she was wondering, where is your favorite place to chase storms?
She tweeted that to you. She's asking you.
Oh, I know, but I'm going to ask everyone on the panel.
No, that's a good question.
I'll go first, though. Absolutely. I always say to her, you know, when I chase with Ryan and stuff this year, my get-go place is Avonlea, Saskatchewan. I don't know. It just seems like that place just fires out the storms left, right, and center. Whenever there's a day that looks like it's going to be promising, I head down to Avonlea, and that's my starting point. You know, it doesn't always work out the best, but you know, 9 out of 10 times it seems like Avonlea is a good starting point for me, anyways.
Nice. Natani?
Well, if you want to talk Saskatchewan chasing, yeah, Saskatchewan is. I don't know. Anywhere south and on number 6 seems to be good stuff. The other magic place I like to chase around is Crake. Davidson and points west and east of that area seem to have a little tornado action all the time there. I think it's the winds and the topography that help. So that's one of my favorite places because I live in the north end of Regina. It's really nice and easy to get on Highway 11 and zoom up there. Mm-hmm. So as a preference, I like doing that. I like going down to southwest Saskatchewan. They've got awesome, beautiful hills and interesting geography. I like Saskatchewan. I mean, I'm here to protect and learn back roads and all the stuff down here in Saskatchewan. And you know, when I'm down in the States, it's just extra credit. You know what I mean? So. As for down in the States, I think I like the high plains better than I like being closer to the Gulf of Mexico because it's just too many trees and too many hills and very difficult to chase in a winding road situation. And you want to know where that tornado is. You don't want to just guess at where it is, especially when you don't have line of sight. So I kind of like, you know, Kansas, Nebraska. That's kind of my favorite areas in the States to chase in.
I think that was the most common thing being yelled in a vehicle in Texas was, get out of the way, you damn trees.
Yeah, the power lines.
Oh, yeah, power lines, that's for sure. I think for myself, Rollo has never disappointed for me, and the Swift Current Maple Creek area. Like every time I've ever gone down there, between Assiniboia and there, it's like 4 out of 4 times I've always had beautiful storm structure shots from that area.
And that's just a quick drive for you anyways, Ryan, so that's a good area for you.
Yeah, 6 hours. 4 times a week, why not, eh?
Go back to work the next morning.
I gotta say, for me, one of the places that I'd like to live, I've never had the chance to chase down there, is like right near in the Val-Marie area. There's been numerous occasions where I'm sitting at home watching the radar, and there's storms either coming up from the States and hitting there, coming through to Alberta, and it just seems that consistently that southwest corner gets the big cells, and that happened on a couple occasions this year too. And there's some, and like you said, there's some great landscapes out there as well for shots.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you, Josh. I mean, you've got Assiniboia seems to be a good storm magnet as well, but it seems to intensify before hitting south of the States. I noticed a storm pattern over there too.
Yeah, that's what happened July 24th when I was with the Dominator, and we were sitting at one place watching actually the Val-Marie storm, and we're trying to decide, is it going to go, is it going to go southeast? Is it going to go north? And I think that's when we ended up hitting Assiniboia and got stuck in that squall line for about 45 minutes of zero visibility.
Yeah, that was an intense squall line. I was late getting on that. I wanted to be where you were, Ryan, about an hour earlier.
You probably wouldn't have wanted to do it in time for me. I wouldn't have taken my vehicle.
Looking at the pictures you were tweeted out, I was like, that's where I want to be. But then I wasn't able to get there on it right away. So at about 6 o'clock, it was approaching Regina. And so then I was able to get on it by that time and ended up following it northeast. But that really grew into a impressive squall line right into the night.
I was watching from Devil's Tower, watching you guys. I was jealous.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, I was actually right behind you guys, Ryan, on that storm. And unfortunately, it did turn into a squall line because it was looking like it was going to have some, individual supercells that might have been tornadic, but it lined out so quick. And, I ended up staying in front of that storm, so I didn't get into the mess that Ryan and them were in, and I did some good time lapse. But, yeah, unfortunately, it did line out.
Yeah. You can't get much photos when you can't see more than a foot away from your vehicle.
No, it kind of puts a hamper on the photography.
Yeah, but that same day, because I remember we made it back to Regina, and there's like damage and stuff. So I'm not really, I don't know what happened, but we stopped at a restaurant, and we were beside the Home Depot, and there was like their building sign was blown over, and Braden Moorzo and I came out and was helping them pick up their stand, and there's like some kind of wood like all over the place. So I don't know. Do you remember?
There was some gusts clocked at about 100 kilometers an hour on that storm.
Oh, really? Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty it was pretty menacing. I remember like looking at it as we're moving northeast, and I didn't want to stop to look at it till I knew whether or not there was hail in it or not. It turned out not to be, but I think winds were definitely quite strong in Regina. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we had some hail where we were, but there wasn't too much. It was an absolutely gorgeous sunset that night, though.
Yeah. Where were you guys for the sunset?
I was actually taking pictures of the Baker barn on Highway 6, which actually was destroyed 2 weeks later on those straight line winds. So, I kind of have the last pictures of the Baker barn that was on Highway 6 there.
That. Yeah. Gentlemen, I got to interrupt. I have to go, so I got to say goodbye to you guys. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, thanks for coming on. Good to talk to you. And right. we'll work on that plan for the spring.
Yes. Excellent. Awesome. Have a good night, guys.
All right, you too.
Yes.
See you, Noni.
See you, Tony.
Bye.
All right, well, Natani's kind of reading my mind here because I was about to wrap it up. But anyways, thanks a lot, guys, for joining us tonight. Craig, good to have you on for the first time. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And Ryan, always good to talk to you. Have a good night and Happy New Year to you all. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you in 2015.
Keep your stick on the ice.
All right. All right. Talk to you later, guys.
Thanks, bye.
Keep your stick on the ice.
Keep your stick on the ice. The classic red-green sign off. So we've got couple minutes left on the stream. Let's you and I talk a little bit here. I have one more video I want to play. For those of you who don't know, we produce a web series. This is the second season we've produced a YouTube web series. This season is considerably shorter than last season. Last season we pumped out 8 episodes, but quite arguably, in my opinion, only about 3 or 4 of those are worth watching for Storm action. Everything else is just kind of behind-the-scenes backstory. So if you like that type of stuff, feel free to check that out on our YouTube channel as well. But at any rate, Steven and I chased lightning. What was that date? That was after the 8th. It was about the 19th, somewhere in there. And so I got to find this clip. And there's some good memories about this one too. We had some fun. Let's see if I can find the video here. Okay, here we go.
Turn the little.
Oh, turn it off.
I get your reflection.
I'm killing bugs is what I'm doing.
Shaking the
This is no longer...
Shaking the... Oh, man.
Let's crack the window, please.
What? It's already open.
What?
What? No, I already opened the window.
Like 2 seconds.
Right. Why? Is lava gonna come in? Saskatchewan boy.
No, it's like there's just bugs galore.
You messed it up.
The whole ceiling is full of bugs.
Your dad's gonna come in the morning. There's be bugs everywhere. Oh, do that kind of thing.
So there's a story here. We're live streaming this at this point, trying to get lightning, and
I didn't do anything. I opened the.
Steven opens the door and the window for not very long, but it was a calm enough night that the mosquitoes are insanely thick, and we're out in the boonies somewhat. A little ways north of Belgoni, and we get all these mosquitoes in the car, and so in lieu of waiting for lightning to pick up and for the storm to hit us, we were killing mosquitoes. And one of the funny inside jokes about this is that on July 24th, Steven brought his own bug spray along on the chase, and we didn't need it that day because we were just in the car the whole time. We really didn't get a chance to stop and stand outside. And but then on this night, when we could have used bug spray, neither of us had any bug spray in the car. So did we learn anything from that?
Always have bug spray.
Yeah. Especially when you're getting lightning.
Yeah, and one of those electric lanterns, that'd just be perfect.
What would you use that for?
Just put it in
What's your what was your favorite part about this year? You and I, we really only chased I think 2 or 3 times, but I know you talked about the roll clouds, but in terms of the aspects of chasing, what was something new for you this year was you shot a lot more video than you did last year, I think.
Yeah, I most definitely held the camera up a lot more than I did. Built some muscle. Yeah.
Was that a nerve-wracking experience?
No. It wasn't like I wasn't like doing surgery or anything, but
no.
I was really just concerned about getting the right shot.
There is some pressure for that, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, in that moment, you only get a chance of that shot once, right? So.
Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what I was trying to hope for, was just get the perfect shot once and then just retire.
Go out with a bang.
Yeah, just go out with a bang.
But one other story from that night chasing lightning is when the stream died. What happened there, Stephen?
I don't even remember. I think we hit a bump or something, and
we hit a.
I think you told me I had to get something, and then I touched the
No,
computer.
you see, this is something we got to work on for next year. Is the computer sitting in the back seat, which worked well, but then for those moments where we're checking the computer frequently, which really we shouldn't have to, but Stephen was obsessed with checking on the viewers and the chat or whatever.
Because there's a lot.
And in his hastiness to check the viewer counter, I think he hit the spacebar and killed the stream.
Yeah, and then just everything plummeted.
Yeah.
It was a good night.
So we have some teamwork things to work out in terms of the technological side. But no, 2014 was a very exciting year for us. Just to recap, I mean, I'll post about this maybe on the blog or whatever, but a lot of big things happened. Maybe not weather-wise for us. We did get that August 8th storm. We were one of the few people on that, documenting that, streaming that, and recording that. But one of the biggest things for us was by far streaming for TV and weather this year, and that was an exciting thing, and we really did our best to make the most of that. We only streamed about 3 or 4 times, I think, total from the field, but definitely made some big improvements and leaps and bounds and stuff. We got the audio dialed in on it now, and so ready to rock and roll for whatever comes next weather-wise for streaming. And yeah, I gotta say, it was a lot of fun having you on more often this year.
Yeah, it was a fun time. I didn't go with you on the White City when that big storm came.
No, and that was again that was a impromptu one by far, because that storm, I don't think I personally really expected it to maintain that kind of strength and stuff and last that far.
Yeah.
Like Craig was talking about it in the show tonight. But really it started out just trying to get lightning, and I saw it as a good, opportunity to get some lightning. It was later than we had chased last year. Our latest chase last year, I think, was August 4th or 5th, and this was August 8th. So I mean, I was going to take what I could get at this point and try and just record some lightning. And it put on a great display of lightning for us. And then by the end, but then it just became a deluge of rain, and things started to really spiral downhill from there. The power went out, and we were fortunate enough that the cell network wasn't affected by that at all. We still had data. We still had power inside the vehicle, so everything's still running. We're still streaming. I was uploading videos to Facebook. So that was a really intense time, but it was also a really good test, I felt, for us and our equipment, because it put our equipment and our procedures and setups to a test in which I wasn't expecting to. Just going out for lightning, and wound up really putting everything to use into the test that night. And it was a grind, because the next morning or early afternoon, we were back out in Balgonie and White City and documenting and even talking to a couple people there. We went in some family friends that I know who live in Emerald Park. They had some fairly significant tree damage there. We went and talked to them, and we talked to a lady in Copper Sands, and it was quite incredible, how widespread the damage was. And we were just north of that. Pilot Butte saw a bit of damage, but nowhere near that straight line wind damage. So it was very, very eye-opening, to be sure. And I think that is definitely the most memorable point of the season for me, and some pretty intense footage as well. And if you want to check it out, Nighttime Mayhem, Season 2, Episode 4 of Storm Hunters is on our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe and like. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Download.
Have a happy and safe New Year's Eve and all the best in 2015. One other highlight of the year for us on this show was having... we didn't have a lot of shows through this year. They were kind of spaced out. That's just the way the schedules worked out and stuff, and it was a busy year. But definitely some of the highlights were our preseason chats with Ryan, Natani, Nick. In July we had Reed Timmer on the show. That was sort of our big show. We hosted the show outside for the first time and all this. We had a great chat with Reed and Ryan and Nick. And so definitely those are shows I would say are worth going back and watching if you didn't get a chance to watch live. And hopefully we're going to keep brainstorming and working on ways to top that in 2015 if that's possible. Don't know that it is, but we did do some pretty cool things, including getting to have Reed Timmer on, so that was a lot of fun. And thanks to all of our guests tonight. Thanks to everybody who watched, for the questions on Twitter. Thanks to Natani and Craig and Ryan and to Stephen. And from all of us at SaskatchewanWeather.ca, thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great night. Happy New Year.